A modern building stands tall under the clear blue sky, a red cross symbol prominent in the air. But look, glowing blade-shaped objects are hovering, signaling something unusual. Inside, a sign clearly reads, Psychiatry Department. If I heard correctly, a thought flashes, opening the door to an unusual world. The brown-haired female doctor, sharp eyes behind her glasses, looks directly at the patient. She asks, her tone mixed with surprise, "You said every living creature you see looks like a pig." The black-haired young man nods silently, confirming his unbelievable words. A stark, undeniable truth. The female doctor is stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief. She can't believe her ears. "Are you kidding me? So, in your eyes, am I also a pig?" The black-haired young man replies without hesitation, his gaze terrifyingly firm. Yes, the harsh truth makes the atmosphere tense. In the young man's eyes, the female doctor suddenly transforms into a pig wearing glasses, with a bewildered expression. "I've never heard of a condition like this," she thinks to herself, her confusion evident. The female doctor's eyes narrow as she looks at the young man thoughtfully. "Such a handsome young man," she murmurs to herself, a hint of perplexity crossing her face. The female doctor's hand subtly moves, unbuttoning a shirt button slightly, creating a suggestive opening. Her gaze remains fixed on the young man. The black-haired young man flinches, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. The female doctor maintains her calm, saying, "Anyway, let's first check if your bodily functions are normal." The female doctor gently pushes up her chest with her hand, her gaze challenging. She asks, her tone full of innuendo, "So, what do you see now?" In the young man's eyes, the female doctor's face and even her chest transform into rosy, grinning pigs. Unbelievable. "I'm this beautiful. Even in the eyes of a madman, I can't be a pig," she exclaims, her tone tinged with helplessness. The female doctor stands up straight, staring at the young man. He still firmly replies, "Two pigs." The space is filled with awkwardness. The female doctor clutches her chest, her face filled with disappointment and anger. "He really does have a neurological problem," she thinks to herself, her patience slowly running out. The female doctor points to the spine model on the table, her voice serious. "Your spine has a serious problem." A glimmer of hope appeared. Her hand clearly points out each deformed, twisted vertebra. It's completely different from a normal person's, severely deformed, compressing your brain and optic nerves. This could be why you see everyone as pigs. The explanation is finally given. The black-haired young man is stunned, cold sweat pouring out. He's waiting for an explanation, a way out of his ironic situation. The brown-haired female doctor gently pushes up her glasses, her voice grave. She explains that surgery is the only hope to correct the spine, but the risk of paralysis is very high. If it fails, you could be paralyzed from the neck down. The black-haired young man still maintains a bewildered expression, but his eyes have begun to show a hint of defiance. He nods, accepting the harsh truth laid out before him. The black-haired young man's eyes darken, becoming cold. He interrupts the female doctor, his attitude decisive. "Doctor, are you finished talking?" The black-haired young man's eyes suddenly glow with a demonic red. He reaches out towards the spine model, questioning, "So, can you give me back my spine?" The brown-haired female doctor is startled, realizing the black-haired young man is mistaking the model for his own spine. She sighs regretfully. Such a handsome young man. What a pity. Urban noise echoes. On the bustling street, a bus stops, carrying different fates. Continuing life cycle. On the bus, Yechuan sits among the crowd, yawning wearily. Everyday life continues, though in his mind, everything has changed. Yechuan's name is Yechuan. He stares at the paper, clearly stating severe mental illness, an invisible sentence weighing heavily on his life. Since he can remember, Yechuan has seen everyone as pigs. He wonders if it's because his parents were pig butchers. Actually, it doesn't affect my life much, except for dating. Today is the day of professional awakening. Yechuan holds a faint hope, wishing this illness could be cured before he awakened. But perhaps that didn't happen. The scene shifts to Qingcheng Academy, where the awakening ceremony is taking place. A gigantic blue crystal stands tall, attracting countless onlookers. Yechuan walks through the crowd, his heart heavy with worry. He wonders if this illness will affect the professional awakening ceremony. That would be a big problem. A clear voice rings out, calling Yechuan's name. The blue-haired girl, her face a mix of worry and relief, chides affectionately. "Brother Yechuan, you're finally here. If you were late." The blue-haired girl's soft hand gently grasps Yechuan's arm, her eyes still holding a hint of annoyance, but full of affection. She continues, her voice half scolding, half teasing. "I'd hit you, you know." Amidst the chaotic square, a demonic smile twists, tearing through the night. A grotesque face, shaped like a pig's head, with bloodshot eyes and emerald green hair, becomes clearly visible. A resounding boom echoes, like a curse for the cruel fate just decided. An eerie presence. Amidst the bustling crowd, the blue-haired girl suddenly grabs Yechuan tightly, her eyes blazing. She seems to be scolding him about something, while he is bewildered, surprised by this sudden outburst of anger. "Are you even listening to me?" Her voice rings out, full of annoyance and worry. Yechuan gulps, his eyes wide with terror. The purple light from the awakening ceremony seems to reflect the extreme fear in his mind. Others' destinies have been revealed, but what about his? Yechuan and Shu Lingchun appear, the blue-haired girl clinging to his arm, attracting all eyes. A gray-haired young man sitting below laughs mockingly. "Shu Lingchun, why are you clinging to Yechuan again? You two are so affectionate every day." The red-haired girl next to him adds, "They're childhood sweethearts. They'll probably get married and have children after this awakening ceremony." At Yechuan's teasing words, the blue-haired girl suddenly explodes. Her cheeks flush red, angry smoke billows, and her blue eyes blaze with fire. Clenching his arm, she growls, "Don't talk nonsense." Yechuan could only sweat profusely, not daring to resist. Yechuan stands there, his eyes hidden behind dark streaks, a nonchalant smile on his face. Beside him, his blue-haired, pig-headed friend whispers, his tone full of disdain, "Brother Yechuan, just ignore them. Fate has been decided, but their attitudes defy everything." The atmosphere of the awakening ceremony suddenly becomes solemn. In the middle of the large square, a gigantic crystal stands tall, emitting an ethereal glow. The white-haired man stands majestically before it, his decisive voice echoing, "Line up by registration number. The awakening ceremony is about to begin." In the mystical space, the guidance for the awakening ceremony echoed, "This is the time to show everything you've learned in school." The solemn voice explained, "Awakening is based on strength, agility, and spirit. The higher your stats, the greater your chance of awakening a high-level profession." In the solemn atmosphere, the dignified white-haired elder spoke, his voice echoing throughout the hall. "During the ceremony, focus all your energy. The profession you awaken will affect your entire life." He continued, "If you awaken a high-level combat profession, it's like defying fate, earning everyone's admiration, and bringing glory to Ching Cheng Academy." The awakening ceremony had arrived, a solemn atmosphere enveloping the vast square. Amidst countless expectant gazes, a colossal crystal stone emitted a mystical light, standing tall like a gateway to destiny. Amidst the murmurs, a voice rang out, decisively commanding, "Begin! Place your hands on the stone pedestal." The fates of many were about to be decided. The space suddenly erupted. A burly, gray-haired man reached into the center of the energy vortex. Purple lightning tore across the sky, swirling violently, as if the universe was opening a gate of power. Whoosh! A terrifying power was about to explode. A male student stepped forward, placing his hand on the energy orb, and purple light erupted around the crystal. He gasped in astonishment as the words clearly appeared. "Life-type profession, intermediate blacksmith." Destiny was revealed. A new path opened. Another male student stepped up, but his awakening moment was a nightmare. He screamed, his body trembling violently, as if experiencing extreme pain. Behind him, the white-haired man still stood, calmly observing everything. Another male student stepped up, his trembling hand touching the awakening stone. Blue-purple lightning flashed, tearing across the space, and the words of destiny clearly appeared. Life-type profession, advanced healer. The white-haired elder stood there, his gaze fixed on the scene, as if contemplating the newly unveiled fate. The colossal crystal stone trembled, crackling electricity tearing through the air. Cold words clearly appeared on its surface, determining fate. Living, type profession, novice engineer. A desperate scream ripped through the space. The brown-shirted young man collapsed, clutching his head in pain, while the white-haired man silently observed. Fate had been sealed, unexpectedly cruel. In the vast square, under the scrutinizing gaze of the white-haired man, a burly, red-haired male student tremblingly approached the colossal crystal stone, his destiny about to be revealed. With horrified eyes and cold sweat pouring out, the red-haired male student stood at the threshold of destiny, utterly terrified. Would it be another mundane living profession? That trembling hand touched the stone, and then a dazzling golden light erupted, tearing through space, signaling something extraordinary was about to happen. Brilliant golden words appeared, etched deep into everyone's minds. Combat-type profession. Rare grade, shadowless swordsman. The entire square held its breath. The red-haired male student was stunned, and the white-haired man's jaw dropped in astonishment. Cheers erupted. "It's a rare grade, a profession everyone dreamed of." The crowd exploded, exclamations of surprise and admiration echoing everywhere. Everyone couldn't believe their eyes. A genius had appeared. The white-haired man, his face radiant, broke into a satisfied smile. He asked the red-haired male student, "Student, what is your name?" The red-haired male student, now regaining his confidence, puffed out his chest and replied, "Principal, I am Lu Jinglong." His voice resonated, full of pride. The principal patted Lu Jinglong's shoulder, his eyes filled with expectation. "A good name. Go rest. I will personally visit your home later to discuss your future path." Lu Jinglong waved to the crowd, receiving their cheers. "Thank you, Principal. Brother Long is amazing." The aura of the Chosen One enveloped him. After Lu Jinglong's moment of glory, the principal spoke, his voice like thunder. "Next is Ye Chuan." Ye Chuan, with a calm demeanor, stepped forward. Shu Lingchun stood from afar, her eyes sparkling with belief, cheering. "Brother Ye Chuan, you can do it!" The principal whispered to the person next to him, his eyes full of thought. "This kid looks a bit strange, but his stats are astonishingly high. A normal person has a total of about 3, but he has 10, 3 times that." Ye Chuan placed both hands on the stone, his gaze firm. Electricity began to crackle through his fingertips, like a prophecy. Who knows, something miraculous might happen. And then, a surge of red-purple energy erupted, more powerful than anyone before. Lightning tore across the space, signaling a shocking event. The crystal stone cracked, energy surging violently. Ye Chuan and the principal stood at the eye of the storm, while the crowd was utterly terrified. The white-haired principal's eyes widened, sweat pouring out. Dazzling golden light erupted, making him exclaim in horror, This is golden light?" The crystal stone shattered, red-purple lightning tearing across, energy surging violently as if to rip space apart. Ye Chuan stood at the center of the energy, his eyes wide with shock as he looked up, sweat beading on his forehead. The white-haired principal was utterly astonished, unable to believe his eyes. God tier, it's really God tier. But then, the information displayed on the crystal stunned everyone. Living profession. God tier pig butcher. The principal stammered. Pig butcher? The crowd behind burst into loud laughter, pointing. "Ha ha ha! Is it a bug? How can there be such a stupid profession? Should we say he's lucky or unlucky?" The white-haired principal's face darkened, feeling as if the heavens were mocking him. Are the heavens playing a joke on me? I've been a principal for so many years, and finally someone awakens a god-tier profession. And it's the most useless pig butcher. Even if it were a god-tier blacksmith, healer, or alchemist, I could still boast. The white-haired principal covered his face, utterly despairing. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. I thought this kid would have a grand explosion. Who knew he'd just be a big pile of shit? The white-haired principal looked at Ye Chuan, only able to let out a long sigh. Student, you sigh. Ye Chuan was confused, a surge of blue energy surrounding him. Huh? A system interface suddenly appeared before Ye Chuan's eyes, filled with detailed information. He exclaimed in surprise, "System?" Ye Chuan focused on the words pig nemesis in the system interface. A slight smile appeared on Ye Chuan's lips as he read on. 50% increased damage to pigs? Ye Chuan's eyes flashed crimson, the corner of his mouth curving up confidently. Perhaps being a madman isn't so bad, because this world, in my eyes. Ye Chuan looked at the crowd, who now appeared as trembling, frightened pigs. In Ye Chuan's eyes, this world is full of pigs. An arrogant, defiant declaration echoed through the air. The crowd was still buzzing about Ye Chuan, but his gaze was fixed forward, where the colossal awakening stone stood tall, and beside it, the dignified white-haired man. Suddenly, mocking laughter erupted from behind. 2 male students, one with red hair and one with brown hair, were pointing and ridiculing Ye Chuan. The red-haired student scoffed. "I thought Ching Chang Academy finally produced a true dragon who knew it was just a pig butcher." The brown-haired student chimed in, bursting into laughter. He continued, "How ridiculous. Ching Chang Academy only has one true dragon, and that's you, brother Lu Jinglong." Lu Jinglong smirked, smugly replying, "Entire space," astonishing Lu Jinglong and the brown-haired student. Amidst the dazzling light, Shu Lingchun's eyes widened, filled with extreme astonishment. What had happened? The white-haired man's eyes bulged, utterly terrified by the scene that had just unfolded. His shout tore through the air. "What? That's a legendary profession!" The entire hall seemed to hold its breath, no one daring to believe their eyes. Amidst the dazzling light, illusory snowflakes began to fall, a chilling atmosphere enveloping everything, as if heralding an extraordinary event taking shape. And then, the declaration echoed, deeply etched into everyone's minds. Combat profession. Legendary Immortal Sword Soul Snow. A renowned title, rare and hard to find. Shu Lingchun, Her back to everyone, stood amidst the swirling blue energy. Her long green hair flowed in the light, her appearance ethereal, like a celestial being descended to earth. The white-haired man was still trembling from shock, sweat pouring down. He mumbled in astonishment. She actually awakened a legendary combat profession. Her parents both have life professions, don't they? This must be some kind of mutation. The blue light erupted powerfully, completely enveloping Shu Lingchun. Amidst the hundreds of astonished gazes from the crowd, she stood there, proud and magnificent, like a goddess who had just descended. The white-haired man quickly regained his composure and approached Shu Lingchun. He declared in a solemn tone, "Shu Lingchun, don't worry. Whatever you need in the future, Qingcheng Academy will provide its full support." Shu Lingchun turned and walked away proudly. She nodded slightly, offering a faint smile, and replied to the offer, "Thank you." The confident, powerful aura emanating from her made all eyes follow her. In the crowd, a girl with her hair tied up whispered to the short, red-haired girl beside her, "One is a butcher. One is a legendary warrior. Do you think Su Lingchun will still cling to Ye Chuan like a puppy?" The short, red-haired girl sneered, replying with disdain, "Why even ask? Zhu Lingchun is progressing." "But what about Ye Chuan? That loser should know better than to stay away from her." Ye Chuan stood there, trying to clap in congratulations, but his eyes clearly showed confusion and surprise at Shu Lingchun's sudden change. Shu Lingchun stopped, turning her head to look directly at Ye Chuan. Her gaze was cold, her voice ringing out decisively, "Ye Chuan." Shu Lingchun crossed her arms, facing Ye Chuan. She declared coldly, "I admit there have been some misunderstandings between us. But from now on, let's make everything clear." Shu Lingchun's next words were like a knife plunging straight into Ye Chuan's heart. He widened his eyes, stunned as he heard her say, "We are no longer people of the same world." Behind Ye Chuan, Lu Jinglong and the brown-haired student couldn't hide their triumphant smiles, gloating at Ye Chuan's heartbreak. Ye Chuan stood motionless, his eyes lifeless. His whole world seemed to collapse beneath his feet, only one word escaping his dry lips. "Fine." Shu Lingchun sighed, her eyes showing a mix of pity and contempt. She said, "I know this must be a heavy blow to you. Don't pretend you're fine." Then she added venomously, "You're just a butcher. You'll never amount to anything great." Ye Chuan looked up, his eyes wide with shock. Everything seemed to crumble. He cried out in despair, "Don't blame me!" In Ye Chuan's eyes, Shu Lingchun's face distorted into a hateful pig as she coldly concluded, "If you have no further objections, then let it be. Don't bother me again in the future." Ye Chuan turned his back and walked away, trying to hide his extreme hurt. Behind him, Lu Jinglong laughed triumphantly. Finally, rid of that pig head. Ye Chuan simply replied, "If there's nothing else, I'll leave." Lu Jinglong approached Shu Lingchun, his eyes sinister. He asked, "Shu Lingchun, do you need me to teach him a lesson so he can see reality clearly?" Shu Lingchun maintained a cold, indifferent expression, looking at Lu Jinglong, tacitly agreeing with his intention. Lu Jinglong couldn't contain his glee. He loudly called out to Ye Chuan in a mocking tone, "Hey, you butcher, come here!" Ye Chuan turned his head, his expression puzzled. He hadn't expected to be called. Lu Jinglong angrily grabbed Ye Chuan's arm, growling, "I'm talking to you. Are you deaf?" Ye Chuan looked up, his eyes suddenly glowing red, exuding a chilling, killing intent. He coldly asked, "What do you want?" In an instant, Ye Chuan seemed to transform into a ghost, his face shrouded in darkness, only his glowing red eyes visible. Lu Jinglong was utterly terrified and stepped back. Lu Jinglong frantically stumbled backward, his mouth agape in shock. He stammered, "Oh, what's happening?" In Lu Jinglong's eyes, Ye Chuan suddenly transformed into a terrifying butcher, while he himself was a pig tied tightly to a chopping block, awaiting the blade of death. He trembled. "That look. It's like I'm a pig tied to a chopping block, waiting to be slaughtered." The surrounding crowd burst into laughter, mocking Lu Jinglong. The brown-haired male student next to him also chuckled gleefully, pretending to ask, "Brother Jinglong, what's wrong with you? Are you okay?" Lu Jinglong's face contorted with rage, and he gnashed his teeth, cursing, "Damn it, this kid." He swung his arm, intending to strike Ye Chuan, roaring, "How dare you glare at me?" Ye Chuan said nothing, only threw a punch. His eyes blazed, and his aura exploded, as if to tear through space. Ye Chuan's punch carried terrifying power, directly colliding with Lu Jinglong's fist, creating a fierce shockwave. A deafening sound echoed, like the shattering of bones, making the surrounding air shiver. Lu Jinglong screamed miserably, his hand horribly deformed, fresh blood seeping out. Ye Chuan's punch had dealt him a fatal blow. Shu Lingchun and the brown-haired male student froze, utterly astonished. What is this? What's happening? Lu Jinglong clutched his painful hand, his eyes filled with disbelief. Impossible. You're just a butcher, aren't you? Why? Ye Chuan stood there, his eyes glowing red, a chilling aura enveloping him. I am a butcher. I just happen to have some power in my hands. Isn't that perfectly reasonable? The surrounding crowd buzzed with endless chatter. What's going on? Look at Lu Jinglong's hand! The pain and humiliation transformed into towering rage. Lu Jinglong roared furiously. Ye Chuan, I'll kill you! He didn't hesitate to summon a brilliant blue longsword, his eyes streaked with blood, preparing to unleash a fatal blow. The crowd panicked once more. It's over. Lu Jinglong is serious now. That kid is definitely dead. Ye Chuan is about to be in big trouble. How dare a butcher pick a fight with a combat user? Why doesn't he back down and apologize? The sword glowed brightly in Lu Jinglong's hand, and he confidently declared, This azure void longsword can cut through steel pipes. He shrieked, his face contorted with hatred. I'll cripple you right here. But then, something strange happened. Lu Jinglong's sword began to freeze, and tiny snowflakes appeared around it. Not just the sword, but Lu Jinglong's entire body was gradually covered in ice. He realized in horror, my body, I can't move? Lu Jinglong trembled, his eyes desperately looking towards Shu Lingchun. Shu Lingchun, why are you still helping him? Amidst the illusory snowstorm, Shu Lingchun spoke, decisively ending the fight. She stood there, a shining ice statue, her gaze firm and unwavering. She didn't want to see two men fight to the death because of her. Her voice echoed, filled with weariness and determination. Stop it! I don't want to see you two fighting to the death over me anymore. Shu Lingchun looked at Ye Chuan, her words like a knife severing all ties. Ye Chuan, you've seen it too. We truly no longer belong to the same world. She declared this was the last time she would help, like a farewell to the past. Ye Chuan merely picked his ear, his expression annoyingly indifferent. He said nothing, as if Shu Lingchun's words had no effect on him whatsoever. Shu Lingchun turned her back, delivering a final warning. Leave Qingqing. Otherwise, next time Lu Jinglong seeks revenge on you, I won't help you anymore. She didn't wait for a reply, her figure gradually disappearing into the distance. Ye Chuan let out a big yawn, not bothering to pay attention to Shu Lingchun's words. Tilde. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. He turned around, leaving everything behind. The three friends stood there, mouths agape in astonishment. This kid, it's like he doesn't take anything seriously. Ye Chuan's attitude left them utterly stunned. Leaving the noisy place, Ye Chuan returned to his daily routine. He walked down the crowded street, like an outcast between two worlds. Suddenly, a plump figure and a ferocious dog monster appeared, blocking the path. The dog growled, bearing sharp fangs, its eyes full of aggression. Ye Chuan's eyes flashed with a red light. He stared at the monster, an idea suddenly forming in his mind. The woman looked at him smugly, as if victory was already hers. The dog monster continued to growl, ready to attack at any moment. The dog monster lunged, biting firmly onto Ye Chuan's leg. He remained calm, looking at the woman. Hey, can you pull your pig? Your dog? Somewhere else? It's blocking my way. The woman was furious, her face flushed red. Is this road yours? Don't you have any manners? Young people nowadays truly have no compassion. Ye Chuan lowered his head and sighed. A mystical blue energy escaped from his mouth. Perfect timing. I have a hypothesis to test. Ada! Ye Chuan unleashed a thunderous kick, sending the dog monster flying. The woman shrieked in horror. Ah! The dog monster vanished, leaving only a tiny dog spirit with a halo floating upwards. The woman cried desperately, utterly panicked. My son! Son, don't scare your mother! A system notification appeared, confirming bonus damage increased by 1%. Ye Chuan looked at the screen, his crimson eyes wide with surprise. He thought to himself, just as I expected. It really works. The obese woman charged wildly, sharp nails extended, screaming, You damn murderer! How dare you kill my son and bully an old woman like me? I'll fight you to the death. Ye Chuan calmly looked at the woman, his eyes cold, uttering only a brief sentence. I'm a psychopath. The obese woman's hand gripped Ye Chuan's shirt tightly. Her face contorted in fear as she saw the word pescopath clearly printed on his shirt. Ye Chuan turned his head, his crimson eyes staring directly at the woman, asking coldly, Anything else? If not, I'm leaving. The woman's face crumpled, sweat pouring down. As she trembled, realizing she had run into someone not to be trifled with. I've run into a psychopath. Killing my dog is one thing, but even if he kills me, I'll die in vain. In an instant, the woman's expression changed 180 degrees, and she flashed a bright smile, saying, "It's nothing, young man. I wish you all the best." After the bittersweet farce, Ye Chuan returned home. His peaceful traditional house appeared under the sunlight. Ye Chuan's father, a burly man, laughed loudly, teasing, "Son, have you changed professions to become a pig butcher?" His mother stood beside him, smiling gently. Ye Chuan looked at his father blankly, only replying with, Ye Chuan's father patted his shoulder, saying that being an honest pig butcher was better than fighting and killing. He also instructed, "You rotten kid, you're really like me. It's best if we become honest pig butchers, better than all that fighting and killing. Tomorrow, I'll take you to the slaughterhouse to get acquainted with the work." Night fell. A crescent moon hung in the starry sky, enveloping the house in silence. Ye Chuan slept soundly on his bed, wearing a funny pig-themed pajama set. But in the darkness, a ghostly figure with glowing blue eyes was gliding past. The mysterious dark figure hovered by the window, observing Ye Chuan's parents sleeping. His father whispered in his dream, "I'm sure you know, my son is just a normal pig butcher. Don't come and bother our lives anymore." The dark figure mused, his voice echoing in the void. "I never thought the son of Crying Demon would actually be a pig butcher." He doubted. "Ye Chuan, is this child really your biological son?" Ye Chuan's eyes were crimson, his killing intent soaring. He coldly warned the mysterious dark figure, "I've already said, don't disturb our lives anymore. Otherwise, I won't be polite." The dark figure retreated, his voice echoing like mist. "Don't be angry. Since your son is truly just a pig butcher, the organization will certainly not bother you anymore." The dark figure vanished as if it had never existed, leaving an empty space. A new day began. At the slaughterhouse reeking of blood, Ye Chuan and his father walked in. The slaughterhouse scene revealing hanging cuts of pork. A gray-haired man was deftly handling a knife. Ye Chuan's father pulled back the curtain, his gaze distant. Ye Chuan stood beside him, already wearing an apron, ready for his new job. A gleaming butcher's knife cabinet appeared. Ye Chuan's father said in a deep voice, "A good pig butcher must start with a good knife." He turned to Ye Chuan, smiling. "Son, choose the knife that feels most comfortable in your hand." Ye Chuan stared blankly at the three knives, his eyes wide, seemingly still unaccustomed to this normal life. He reached out and chose a knife. The blade suddenly emitted a mystical blue light. Ye Chuan whispered, "This one feels right." A system notification appeared in Ye Chuan's mind. The pig butcher's blade has been selected. The god-slaying blade is now active. For every pig killed with this knife, you will receive 0.1 free attribute points. A giant monstrous pig was hung upside down, screaming fiercely. Ye Chuan's father said, "As a pig butcher, the first step is to learn how to use your knife." The pig screamed in terror, drool flowing. Its vacant white eyes and sharp fangs revealed horrifyingly. Ye Chuan's father instructed, "Aim for the weak point, a critical strike. You try." Ye Chuan stood straight, his gaze firm. Ye Chuan swung the knife. A crimson light tore through the air, piercing the monstrous pig. Blood splattered. The monstrous pig's vacant white eyes bulged, drool still flowing, its expression one of extreme terror before it completely collapsed. The system chimed again. Normal pig has been chilled X1. Level increased by 1%. Bonus damage against pig-type enemies increased by 1%. Received 0.1 free attribute points. After the critical strike, the monstrous pig completely collapsed. Ye Chuan's father sighed in relief, his face drenched in sweat. He praised his son, but also didn't forget to point out a flaw. "Well done. The only regret is that the stab wasn't precise enough, so it didn't die instantly. You must aim for the carotid artery in the neck." Ye Chuan pondered, nodding in response to his father's words. Yes. He understood that in the butchering profession, every knife stroke had to be decisive and precise, with no room for even the slightest error. The father gently placed a hand on Ye Chuan's shoulder, his words filled with understanding. "Son, I know butchering pigs must be very boring and repetitive for someone your age, but this is the profession we rely on to make a living." Suddenly, Ye Chuan looked up at his father, his eyes burning with determination. He pointed at the remaining pigs in the pen, asking to complete them all himself. "Father, can you let me butcher all these pigs by myself?" The father burst into hearty laughter, patting his son's shoulder proudly. "Ha ha ha ha! You truly are my son! If you want, you can even butcher Uncle Lee's and Uncle Chen's pigs too." He completely trusted Ye Chuan. Ye Chuan plunged into the work, his eyes crimson. The gleaming blade tore through the air, taking down the next pig. The system chimed again, signaling his level up. System notification. Normal pig has been chilled X1. Level increased by 1%. Leveled up to level 2. Without stopping, Ye Chuan continued to swing his knife. Each strike was powerful and decisive, and each time, the system announced he had advanced another level. System notification. Normal pig has been chilled X1. Level increased by 1%. Leveled up to level 3. And so, Ye Chuan toiled diligently. Each pig fell under his blade, and each level-up notification continuously appeared, marking his remarkable progress. System notification. Normal pig has been chilled X1. Level increased by 1%. Leveled up to level 4. As time passed, the sky gradually turned to dusk. The shh sound of the system still echoed like a background score to Ye Chuan's relentless training. Finally, Ye Chuan sat down, surrounded by dozens of processed pigs. The system summarized his achievements. Total pigs, 49 common pigs. Bonus damage against pig-type enemies increased by 100%. Core attributes increased from 10 to 15. Current rank, Apprentice Butcher level 5. Meanwhile, a muscular man looked at Ye Chuan's father with an astonished expression. He couldn't believe it. "Is this your son? He's addicted to butchering pigs. He just finished all our work for the entire week." Ye Chuan's father just smiled faintly, his eyes full of pride upon hearing the comments about his son. He didn't need to say much. A single smile was enough to show his contentment. He crossed his arms, held his head high, and proudly declared, "Anyway, my son is a divine pig butcher." His words echoed, affirming Ye Chuan's extraordinary talent. Ye Chuan thoughtfully looked at the blade in his hand. He had mastered this skill, feeling more comfortable than ever. "Now I'm quite comfortable using the pig butchering blade." Perhaps a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. It's time to leave the slaughterhouse and see the outside world. The whispered words carried a desire for exploration, to break free from familiar limits. The next day, Ye Chuan slung his backpack over his shoulder, opened the slaughterhouse door, ready to embark on a new journey to explore the mysterious world awaiting him. In this world, countless races from various realms and kingdoms coexisted, and monsters ran rampant everywhere, creating a chaotic and perilous landscape. Humanity was no longer divided into separate nations, but had united into the Human Federation, divided into 9 special zones. Qingcheng was located on the outer edge of the 5th zone. The colossal gate, named the Borderlands, stood tall, marking the boundary between the city's safety and the lurking dangers outside. Ye Chuan, with his backpack, stepped through the sturdy gate, leaving the guards behind. He entered the gloomy forest, where faint light pierced through the leaves, beginning a new journey. A man with a large axe blocked Ye Chuan, issuing a warning. "You are a life-sustaining profession. Once you leave the city, you can only operate within a 1-kilometer radius around the perimeter. Go any further, and your life will be in danger." Ye Chuan nodded, his gaze firm as he faced the warning. "Understood," he replied, determined to accept all risks on his chosen path. He ventured deeper into the forest, the rustling leaves like whispers of lurking dangers, each step taken with utmost caution and vigilance. A strange sound shattered the forest silence, making Ye Chuan turn his head vigilantly, his sharp eyes scanning for the source of the noise. "Heh." A green goblin, clutching a sharp dagger, suddenly lunged out from the bushes, baring its jagged teeth menacingly. "Dada." Ye Chuan identified the enemy, his cold gaze focused on the monster. Looking at this color, it must be a goblin. Ye Chuan activated his skill, his entire body erupting in a brilliant red glow, his eyes shining like fire. "That's right, I can test the effectiveness of the Blood Shadow Butcher." The goblin was utterly terrified, its eyes wide and mouth agape, as it faced Ye Chuan's explosive power and overwhelming aura. With a lightning-fast, sharp slash that tore through the air, Ye Chuan finished off the goblin in an instant, blood splattering. The system announced his achievement. Pig Goblin defeated X1. Level increased by 5%. Bonus damage against pig-type enemies increased by 1%. Received 0.1 free attribute points. Ye Chuan thought to himself, "So the stronger the pigs I kill, the more benefits I get." In the dead of night, countless green eyes suddenly gleamed from deep within the forest, surrounding Ye Chuan, signaling a greater danger lurking. His master's warning echoed in Ye Chuan's mind. "My master once said, if you spot one goblin, don't be careless, because that means an entire horde has already marked you." Ye Chuan, surrounded by goblins, his eyes cold, his cleaver gleaming. "Looks like I'm about to level up! Come on, you pig goblins!" His declaration of war echoed, signaling an impending massacre. The horde of goblins roared, jagged fangs bared, and charged forward in unison. "Yeah, yeah." They didn't know that the one standing before them was not prey, but death itself. Ye Chuan moved like the wind, his blade tearing through the air. creating a dazzling blue streak of light. The first goblin vanished into sparkling dust, unable to even let out a cry. Without pause, Ye Chuan continued to swing his blade. Two other goblins, just as they approached, were shredded by the terrifying surge of power, their bodies shattering in the light of death. A remaining goblin, its eyes wide with terror, watched the colossal blade descend. It trembled and recoiled, its frightened cry caught in its throat. Ye Chuan, his eyes glowing blood red, flashed a sinister smile. "Come on, kids. Let's play together," he whispered, his voice chilling as if from hell itself. With a powerful stomp, the last goblin was crushed, vanishing into thin air. Its final cry faded into the forest silence. Ye Chuan stood before a mysterious cave, its entrance as dark as an abyss. This seems to be a goblin cave. A chilling sensation enveloped him, yet his steps remained firm. Stepping into the cave, Ye Chuan's eyes still glowed red, his demonic smile deepening. From the depths of the cave, a brilliant red light suddenly erupted, signaling something terrifying. The goblin's desperate screams echoed throughout the cave, mingling with fierce combat sounds. "Ha! Ya! Ya!" A merciless purge was underway. The scene inside the cave was revealed. Goblin corpses lay scattered, fresh blood staining the rocky floor. The red light still enveloped everything, dyeing the deadly space crimson. A system notification panel appeared before Ye Chuan. Name: Ye Chuan. Profession: Divine Pig Butcher. Level: Apprentice. Rank 6. Strength: 25. Agility: 25. Spirit: 25. Enemy of pigs. Plus 120% damage to pigs. Ye Chuan continued deeper into the cave, the red light and strange sounds still emanating from ahead, like a deadly invitation. Suddenly, Ye Chuan stopped, his sharp gaze sweeping over an old wooden door blocking the path. Was something hidden behind this door? Without hesitation, Ye Chuan delivered a devastating kick. The wooden door shattered into pieces, dust flying everywhere, revealing a new passage. Ye Chuan stepped in, his figure enveloped in the brilliant red light. Beneath his feet, the bare feet of a woman appeared, signaling an unexpected encounter. In the dark cave, a brown-haired girl was tied tightly, a pacifier in her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Around her, hideous dwarf goblins lurked, making terrifying noises, demanding, "Milk! Give us milk!" Extreme fear was evident on the girl's face. Tears fell profusely, and she could only beg in despair, "Save me, please." Tied tightly to the rock wall, the brown-haired girl closed her eyes, tears still flowing incessantly, awaiting her tragic fate. Suddenly, a figure appeared. Ye Chuan stood there, the cleaver in his hand, emitting a brilliant red light. The girl cried out in panic, "Don't kill me!" Ye Chuan said nothing, only stared at the girl, his expression cold. The brown-haired girl was terrified, tears streaming like rain. Without hesitation, Ye Chuan swung his knife. A dazzling red light tore through the darkness, sharp slashes flying towards the goblins. The girl's terrified scream echoed throughout the cave as goblin blood splattered. She watched the brutal scene in horror. Ye Chuan looked at the girl coldly and said, "Stop screaming! All the goblins are dead." The brown-haired girl's eyes widened, horrified at the goblin corpses strewn on the ground, covered in blood. Her fear gradually gave way to relief. As soon as she was untied, the brown-haired girl rushed to hug Ye Chuan, sobbing her thanks. "Thank you. Thank you for coming to save me. I was almost disgraced by these goblins." Ye Chuan flinched, his expression annoyed. He growled, "I didn't come here to save you." The brown-haired girl was surprised, looking down at the goblin corpses at her feet. She asked, "Did you kill all of them?" She continued to look around, seeing more goblin corpses. The girl couldn't help but admire. "You're truly amazing. Are you a warrior?" After a moment of silence, the girl looked up at Ye Chuan and asked, "What's your name?" Ye Chuan replied curtly, "Ye Chuan." Then he pointed out of the cave. "Get out of the cave, follow that direction, and you'll reach the city." The brown-haired girl walked into the silent night of the forest. Her lonely footsteps echoed, fading further and further away. Just when he thought he was rid of the girl, a figure secretly followed Ye Chuan into the silent night of the forest. Ye Chuan suddenly turned around, questioning the brown-haired girl peeking from behind a tree. The girl flinched, screaming in fright. "Wah! Ah! Ah!" With the cold cleaver blade close by, the girl quickly explained, extreme fear evident on her face. No, I'm scared to go back alone." Ye Chuan lowered his knife and asked for details. The brown-haired girl hesitated, finally revealing her name. "My name is Sha Nanan." She bowed her head, recounting her fateful journey to find a shuiyu flower as a birthday gift for her mother, and the disaster that struck when she was captured by goblins. Sha Nanan looked at Ye Chuan, proposing an unexpected deal. "How about we make a deal? If you help me find a Shueyu flower, I'll help you find the best weaponsmith in Qingcheng to forge a new knife for you. Ye Chuan was unmoved, his cold threat ringing out, dismissing the girl. Go home. Don't follow me anymore, or I'll chop you up. Rebuffed harshly, Sha Nanan was furious, hands on her hips, wondering if Ye Chuan was crazy for not caring about a stunning beauty like her. Not giving up, Sha Nanan persisted, finally playing her trump card. Hey, do you know who I am? My father's name is Xia Beihai. The name Xia Beihai startled Ye Chuan. In his mind, a renowned identity emerged, the patriarch of the Xia clan, a 9th-level master, just one step away from becoming a grandmaster. A sinister smile spread across Ye Chuan's lips, his eyes glinting with calculation. He thought to himself, with Xia Beihai's financial resources, forging 10 top-tier cleavers for him would be no problem. Sha Nanan proudly showed off her family's protective talisman, explaining that it shielded her from all dangers, except for the cunning of the goblins who ambushed and tied her up. She continued, saying that the goblins couldn't directly harm her, which was why they could only tie her up. Sha Nanan finished her story with a distressed look. Otherwise, I would have long since been taken by them. Ye Chuan secretly confirmed the value of the Xia clan's protective talisman. Finally, Ye Chuan nodded, agreeing to the deal. All right, I believe you. I'll help you find a Shueyu flower, and you'll help me forge a top-tier knife. Sha Nanan was stunned. She cheered happily, grasping Ye Chuan's hand, the deal a complete success. Xia Nanan held up the old map, her eyes resolute. This is a map I bought from someone else. She began to lead Ye Chuan on the journey to find the Shueyu flower, a place fraught with unpredictable dangers. On the map, a bright red X marked the location of the Shueyu flower, but accompanying it was the image of a giant python. Sha Nanan worried, it marks the location of the Shueyu flower. But wherever there's a Zuiyu flower, there's a giant Zuiyu python. It will be very dangerous. Ye Chuan raised an eyebrow, his voice full of surprise. There's a giant python? Sha Nanan nodded, explaining. That's right. According to the Wilderness Survival Handbook, the giant Shueyu python has strength comparable to a 9th-level apprentice. I don't know if my current strength is enough to deal with it. Ye Chuan's face suddenly changed, a sinister smile spreading across his lips, his eyes glinting with chilling excitement. I've never seen a giant python in my life. A purple aura surrounded him, signaling an impending frenzy. Sha Nanan looked at Ye Chuan, a vague worry rising in her heart. Is this guy even listening to me? She reassured herself. But since he can single-handedly wipe out an entire goblin tribe, he must be a 3rd-level warrior. Ye Chuan decisively stood up, the smile still on his lips, but his eyes now filled with fighting spirit. A green aura surrounded him. Let's go. You're in charge of leading the way, he commanded, without hesitation, as if ready to face any challenge. Sha Nanan watched Ye Chuan's retreating back, her heart full of contradictions. I don't know why. This guy is both trustworthy and untrustworthy at the same time. She sighed, helpless against the unpredictable nature of the black-haired young man. They ventured deeper into the dense forest, where towering grass obscured their view. The rustling of leaves and strange sounds echoed, signaling a wild world teeming with dangerous creatures awaiting them. Ye Chuan and Sha Nanan cautiously walked through the tall, head-high grass. Every step was fraught with danger. As night gradually fell, darkness enveloped the forest, making everything more mysterious and terrifying. Sha Nanan suddenly stopped, hiding behind a bush, her face pale with fear. That's a silver-horned rhinoceros. We absolutely must not provoke it, she whispered, her voice trembling, warning Ye Chuan of the immediate danger. A giant silver-horned rhinoceros was calmly grazing, its horns sparkling under the moonlight. Sha Nanan continued to explain. Once it gets angry, its power can rival that of an 8th-level apprentice. Sha Nanan turned to Ye Chuan, about to say that they just needed to quietly go around it. We just need to quietly go around it. But she was stunned when she saw him pull out his cleaver. What are you doing? Ye Chuan's eyes widened, his face serious. The cleaver pointed directly at the rhinoceros. If it dares to eat grass today, it will dare to eat people tomorrow. It cannot be allowed to live, he declared, his voice full of killing intent. Sha Nanan was completely dumbfounded, her eyes lifeless as she looked at Ye Chuan. What? What kind of twisted logic is that? She couldn't believe her ears, faced with the black-haired young man's unconventional reasoning. Without waiting for Sha Nanan to react, Ye Chuan charged straight towards the silver-horned rhinoceros. He leaped into the air, the gleaming cleaver in his hand, preparing to deliver a fatal blow to the monster. Ye Chuan moved like a gust of wind. The cleaver swung high, creating a dazzling streak of light. He did not flinch at the rhinoceros's enormous size, determined to finish it with a single blow. Ye Chuan's blade tore through the air, piercing the thick hide of the silver-horned rhinoceros. The monster roared in pain, red blood splattering amidst the dazzling blue light. A fatal blow. The giant rhinoceros collapsed, its body enveloped in a blue glow. Foul black blood gushed out, staining the ground red. Sha Nanan stood stunned, her blue eyes wide in disbelief at the sight before her. The silver-horned rhinoceros, majestic just moments ago, had fallen. Its foul green blood splattered everywhere. Extreme astonishment was evident on Xia Nanan's face. She couldn't believe her eyes, exclaiming, "He killed it with just one blow?" Ye Chuan stood there, calm, as if nothing had happened. The system panel appeared. Level increased to 7th, rank apprentice. Silver-horned rhinoceros successfully eliminated. Damage bonus for Picken increased by 122%. Ye Chuan thoughtfully looked at the cleaver in his hand. The blade already showed signs of chipping after the terrifying slash. He wondered, "I wonder how much longer this knife will last." The two continued their journey. Xia Nanan, still reeling from shock, turned to Ye Chuan and questioned, "Ye Chuan, what exactly is your profession?" Ye Chuan glanced at her, replying curtly with a cold expression, "A lifestyle profession, a pig butcher." Xia Nanan was completely dumbfounded, her face flushed with astonishment. She couldn't accept that explanation. No way. How can a lifestyle profession kill a silver-horned rhinoceros with just one blow? Ye Chuan paid no attention to her skepticism. He calmly chopped off the rhinoceros horn, muttering, "Rhinoceros horn is good stuff." He then added an explanation. "This rhinoceros must have been too old. That's why it died so quickly." Sha Nanan looked at Ye Chuan, still a bit doubtful, but resigned. She tried to change the subject. "We're almost there. The location of the blood moon flower is very close." She thought to herself, "This kid, he doesn't seem to be lying." The two continued to venture deeper into the dense forest, where sunlight struggled to penetrate. The atmosphere grew darker and more silent. Not far away, another group of 6 was also venturing deep into the forest. Leading them was a white-haired man with a dignified appearance, followed by Shu Lingchun, Lu Jinglong, and 3 other companions. The white-haired man smiled with satisfaction, praising his group. "During this field training, all of you have performed very well," he continued, his gaze lingering on Shu Lingchun and Lu Jinglong. "You truly are students I hold in high regard." Lu Jinglong flashed a smug smile. Suddenly, the white-haired man stopped. His ears perked up, listening cautiously. "Wait! There's movement!" As soon as the white-haired man's warning ended, the deep forest space suddenly became dense. From within the darkness, 2 figures gradually became clear, walking straight towards the group. An angry roar tore through the silent night. "Who's there? Show yourselves!" Shu Lingchun stood nearby, her eyes vigilantly following every movement of the strangers. After Shu Lingchun's warning, Ye Chuan and Xia Nanan continued their journey through the forest. Amidst the silent space, a sense of unease washed over them, causing Ye Chuan to frown slightly. He wondered, Ye Chuan and Xia Nanan stood frozen, their eyes wide with disbelief. Before them, Shu Lingchun's group had blocked their path. Ye Chuan exclaimed, his voice full of suspicion, "Why are these guys here?" Amidst the tension, a red-haired man appeared, his face sinister. He pointed directly at Ye Chuan, questioning, "Ye Chuan, why is it you? What are you doing here?" Ye Chuan and Xia Nanan calmly walked through the forest, but their appearance attracted hateful glares from a red-haired man. He questioned them, but Ye Chuan merely replied indifferently, "Just passing by." This answer only angered the red-haired man further, and he growled, "What did you say?" Amidst the tense atmosphere, the girl with her hair tied up broke the silence. Her sharp gaze swept over the 2 strangers, and she spoke, her tone full of suspicion. "Just passing by, huh?" Then continued to speculate. "From what I see." Suddenly, Shu Lingchun's group appeared, blocking the path. The plump woman with the disdainful expression sneered, "You still haven't forgotten senior sister Lingchun? So you're clinging to us like a bug, aren't you?" Ye Chuan's eyes widened, his pupils contracting, reflecting extreme shock. He couldn't believe that in this dangerous deep forest he would encounter old enemies. Then a girl with a face distorted into a pig's snout, light blue hair, and eyes full of hatred, also called out, "Ye Chuan." It seemed his appearance had stirred up a hornet's nest. Ye Chuan's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold, indifferent look. He stared directly at his opponent, his words like a declaration of war, a reminder of an unpleasant past. "I thought I made myself very clear last time." Ye Chuan stood there, his muscular body enveloped by a pressure-filled reddish-purple aura. His hands were clenched, small electric sparks crackling as if power was being suppressed. He looked up, his voice cold and decisive. "We are now people from two different worlds. Don't bother me anymore." Without letting Yichuan react, Lu Jinglong rushed out from behind Shu Lingchun's group, his face contorted with rage. He growled, his eyes spitting fire. "Yichuan, you still dare to appear before me? Good, I was worried I wouldn't find you." But then, a dark figure suddenly appeared, breaking the tension. The mysterious man, his entire body shrouded in darkness, his eyes glowing red like hellfire, along with a flashing purple sword, brought an aura of death that enveloped the entire forest. Meanwhile, another brown-haired man, his eyes wide with astonishment, directed his gaze towards a certain sword. He exclaimed, "Brother Jinglong's sword!" That light. Could it be that it has reached the initial Emperor grade? This must be considered a true spirit weapon. Elsewhere, the white-haired man couldn't help but be astonished by Lu Jinglong's rapid progress. He exclaimed, "In just a few short days, Lu Jinglong, a 4th-level apprentice, has actually obtained an initial Emperor-grade spirit weapon? I was right about this child. He is a genius. With his current strength, he can fight on par with a 6th-level apprentice." Shu Lingchun stood in the middle, her eyes cold, a mystical purple aura swirling around her body. The two men beside her were silent, their faces tense. She issued a warning, echoing like thunder. "Yichuan, I already warned you to leave Qingcheng. This time, I will not help you anymore." Xia Nannan stood behind Yichuan, her eyes filled with worry, and she softly asked, "Yichuan, do you have a grudge against these people?" Yichuan didn't answer, his gaze calmly fixed forward, only uttering a cold question. "How much does an elementary Emperor-grade soul weapon cost?" Xia Nannan was stunned. The brown-haired girl quickly explained, her tone full of surprise. "It can sell for hundreds of thousands! Hey! Do you even understand the current situation?" Lu Jinglong, the red-haired young man, gnashed his teeth in hatred, recalling, "That guy stole my credit last time." A furious blaze ignited in his eyes. This time, he wouldn't let it go. The sword in Lu Jinglong's hand swung up, its sharp aura seemingly tearing through the air. He roared, determined to reclaim his lost honor. The gleaming soul sword was ready to strike down the one who had stolen his glory. Lu Jinglong charged forward, sword swinging, and shouted, "Let Shu Lingchun see." Yichuan calmly raised his axe to block, the clang of metal echoing. Witnessing that scene, Shu Lingchun and the rest of the group widened their eyes in astonishment. No one expected Yichuan to dare confront him directly. Lu Jinglong, his face contorted with rage, confidently roared, "My true power!" He poured all his strength into the attack. Sword and axe clashed fiercely, dazzling light tearing through the night, terrifying power spreading everywhere. However, in just an instant, the situation reversed. Lu Jinglong knelt, his sword plunged into the ground, while Yichuan still stood firm, the axe in his hand unwavering. Lu Jinglong's sword was broken in half, deeply embedded in the earth. He suffered a crushing defeat against Yichuan with just one blow. Lu Jinglong furiously roared, his words full of contempt. "How dare a stinking butcher like you be so arrogant? I'll make sure you can't kill pigs anymore." The long-bearded, white-haired man, witnessing the scene, couldn't help but be terrified. He muttered to himself, "An ordinary blade is as fragile as scrap paper before a soul weapon." Then he worried, "Oh, Yichuan, how could you be so foolish as to provoke him?" Yichuan coldly looked at the kneeling Lu Jinglong and calmly replied, "I don't need a knife to deal with you." The axe in his hand still exuded an overwhelming aura. Lu Jinglong gritted his teeth, his eyes spitting fire, and growled, "What? You're still not convinced? Then don't blame me for being impolite." Lu Jinglong roared, swung his sword down at Yichuan, and a brilliant purple sword energy surged, carrying immense killing intent. He wanted Yichuan dead. A cold glint flashed in Yichuan's eyes. His fists clenched, preparing for a swift counterattack. A thunderous punch struck down. Yichuan unleashed an extremely powerful blow, piercing through the sword energy and directly hitting Lu Jinglong, creating a fierce shockwave. Lu Jinglong was sent flying into the air, his body spinning helplessly amidst the energy wave, then flung far away. He fell to the ground, unconscious. The gray-haired man and the white-haired man were utterly astonished. The gray-haired man quickly ran over, frantically calling, "Brother Jinglong!" The gray-haired man helped Lu Jinglong up, asking worriedly, "Are you all right?" Lu Jinglong groaned in pain, his face contorted from his injuries. Lu Jinglong struggled to stand, purple energy still lingering around him. He thought to himself, I'm fine. I'm about to pass out. I have to hold on." The white-haired man looked at Yichuan with a thoughtful gaze, calling his name Yichuan. He looked at Yichuan, surrounded by others who were also astonished, unable to believe what had just happened. The white-haired man continued, his voice full of surprise. You've already reached the 7th level apprentice stage? Yechuan bent down and calmly picked up Lu Jinglong's sword, blood still clinging to the cold, sharp blade. He held the sword, his eyes blankly examining it, as if appraising a new toy. Yechuan mumbled, "This knife looks pretty good." The red-haired man angrily looked at Yechuan, questioning the white-haired man. "Has that kid really reached the 7th level apprentice stage? Sister Lingchun is only at level 6. The white-haired man looked into the distance and replied, "It's very possible. Although the realm levels for lifestyle and combat professions are the same, their methods of advancement are completely different," he continued to explain. Combat professions require continuous training, fighting, getting injured, comprehending combat techniques, and accumulating experience in battles. In the early stages, their growth rate is a bit slower, but once they have a breakthrough, their growth rate will become faster and faster, the white-haired man concluded. Meanwhile, lifestyle professions are much easier. For example, alchemists and weaponsmiths don't need to fight. They just need to pour all their energy into their respective professions. The explanation of the differences between professions continued. With an illustration of a blacksmith diligently working by the forge, the white-haired man continued. Take Ye Chuan as an example. As a pork butcher in the early stages, he only needs to continuously kill pigs every day to raise his realm. A brilliant red light tore through the night. An image of Ye Chuan in the past appeared, his eyes flashing with killing intent, swinging his knife down with terrifying force, blood splattering everywhere. Zhu Lingchun, with her elegant beauty but thoughtful eyes, questioned, "So he's relying on high core stats from his high realm? Isn't that too unfair to combat professions?" The white-haired man continued to analyze, pointing out that Ye Chuan's path was not easy. Every time Ye Chuan advances a realm, the number of pigs he has to kill will double. By the time he reaches the peak realm, the number of pigs needed will be enormous, he concluded. However, combat profession masters, after mastering initial combat techniques, their advancement speed will become faster and faster. "I've already been accepted into Tianding Academy. We are now people from 2 different worlds." Just then, another voice rang out, full of anger, breaking the tense atmosphere. "I can't watch this anymore." The plump woman stepped out, breaking the tense atmosphere, and declared Ye Chuan's purpose. "Are you people done yet? Ye Chuan is with me to find the Shuiyu flower." She continued to criticize, refuting all the other speculations. "Meeting you all today was purely bad luck. So what are you all randomly speculating about here?" Another girl with tied-up hair spoke, her tone full of sarcasm, directed at Ye Chuan. "Oh, so there's some scoundrel who really doesn't consider Shu Lingchun a treasure? You must be blind." The red-haired man added fuel to the fire, uttering insulting words. "Exactly. This Ye Chuan has no other skills, but he's certainly good at seducing women. He's already seduced a new one so quickly. A whore and a dog. An eternal love." The vulgar words had reached their limit. A terrifying surge of power erupted from Ye Chuan, pushing everyone around him away. The power erupting from Ye Chuan spared no one. Principal Zhao, who had just been putting on a dignified air, was also sent flying, his cheeks flushed red from the shock. He exclaimed in astonishment, "Why did you hit me too?" Amidst the chaotic scene, Xian Nanan stood next to Ye Chuan, pouting disdainfully. Ye Chuan maintained an expressionless face, as if everything that had just happened had nothing to do with him. Shu Lingchun also couldn't escape that surge of power. She clutched her cheek, her eyes blazing with anger. "You dare hit me?" she growled, unable to believe it. Shu Lingchun's rage transformed into power. Her entire body emitted a dazzling blue light, and a spiritual sword materialized in her hand. "Do you want to die?" Her voice was cold, full of killing intent. Facing the enraged Su Lingchun, Xia Nanan didn't flinch. She held up a green token card engraved with the character Xia, from which an ethereal light emanated. "Try to touch me." Principal Zhao, who had just been sent flying, saw the token card, and his face immediately changed color. Cold sweat poured down, and he froze on the spot, as if dead. "Stop! Stop right now!" Principal Zhao shouted, rushing to restrain Shu Lingchun. He suddenly realized Xia Nanan's identity. No wonder this girl looks familiar. She's actually the eldest young lady of the Xia family. Principal Zhao hurriedly cupped his hands and bowed, asking Xia Nanan, "Miss Xia, what are you doing here?" Xia Nanan merely pouted and replied with a disdainful Xia Nanan arrogantly crossed her arms. "My business has nothing to do with you. I'll go wherever I want." She turned to Principal Zhao, her tone full of sarcasm. "And you, Principal Zhao, the quality of your school's students is truly worrying." Principal Zhao bowed deeply, sweat pouring down, continuously rubbing his hands in apology. Yes, it's my fault. I will certainly discipline them severely when we return." Xia Nanan didn't let it go. She pointed directly at Shu Lingchun and ordered, "Make her apologize to Ye Chuan." Ye Chuan stood beside her, still maintaining an indifferent expression. Shu Lingchun was stunned, her eyes wide open. She's Sha Beihai's daughter? Why is she with Ye Chuan? She muttered, full of confusion. Principal Zhao turned to Shu Lingchun, his tone stern. Apologize immediately. Did you hear me? Under pressure, Shu Lingchun bowed her head, her eyes tightly shut in resentment. I'm sorry. Her voice grew softer, full of reluctance. Shu Lingchun raised her head, her gaze as cold as ice. Her simmering resentment boiled over, and she gritted her teeth, vowing, Xia family, just you wait. Ye Chuan turned to Sha Nanan, his tone calm. Let's go. If we wait any longer, I'll miss the last carriage. Sha Nanan looked at him, silent. The enemy knelt and begged, but Ye Chuan's gaze remained cold. The red-haired man desperately screamed, Don't go! Give me back the Qingfeng sword! Sha Nanan sneered, challenging the loser. If you have the guts, come and get it yourself. I'll be waiting. Ye Chuan continued to walk, not once looking back. The provocation was like adding fuel to the fire of rage. The red-haired man roared, helpless and resentful. You! A venomous vow echoed, promising merciless revenge. Just you wait! The pair entered a desolate land, where ancient withered trees stretched out like demonic fingers, creating a mystical scene. Sha Nanan checked the token card in her hand, her eyes full of contemplation, preparing for the challenges ahead. The map pointed the way to a mysterious cave. Sha Nanan warned in a low voice. Here it is. Be careful. The system activated a special butcher's knife. Ye Chuan was surprised to see the bonus points double, muttering to himself. 0.2? Double? It seems choosing a good knife is very necessary. Xia Nanan suddenly pulled out 2 glowing orbs, making Ye Chuan's eyes widen in astonishment. Ye Chuan asked curiously, Is there a treasure chest in there? What is this? Xia Nanan explained that these were Lei Huo pearls, powerful enough to severely injure enemies at the Dung Tong realm. When the Zhu Yu Demang appears, we'll use them to escape in a critical moment. You're really ruthless, Ye Chuan exclaimed. Then he decided to go ahead. I'll go up and check the situation first. Ye Chuan cautiously entered, surrounded by brilliant red flowers. A dark shadow flickered on the cliff face, signaling lurking danger. Sha Nanan exclaimed in surprise. It's really here, and these aren't ordinary Shui Yue flowers. These are Shuiding twin flowers. Wow, I'm so lucky. Ye Chuan was also taken aback. The joy suddenly faded, and Sha Nanan's eyes were instantly filled with horror. Ye Chuan looked up, facing a giant python, its form indistinct, its eyes glowing blood red. The Shui Yu Demang had appeared. Ye Chuan was stunned, holding the brilliant red flower. A drop of cold sweat trickled down, signaling something ominous. Looking up, Ye Chuan met the blood-red eyes of the Shui Yu Demang. The monster growled, What are you looking at? Never seen anyone pick a flower before? Ye Chuan's gaze remained fixed on the Shui Yu Demang. Tension filled the air, foreshadowing an unavoidable battle. The giant python roared, its blood-red eyes flashing. A large question mark appeared, full of menace, as if it wanted to devour its prey. Ye Chuan quickly spun around, brandishing his sword, still holding the small yellow flower. He dashed away, escaping the gaze of death. From a distance, Xia Nanan shrieked, her voice full of panic. Don't just stand there! Do something! Xia Nanan was utterly terrified, clutching the brightly glowing orb and cried out, Be careful! Ye Chuan swung his sword and charged, while Xia Nanan threw the orb. A blinding beam of light shot straight at the Shui Yu Demang. The orb exploded, creating a terrifying shockwave. Ye Chuan was thrown back, crying out, Ouch! Ye Chuan fell, and Xia Nanan asked worriedly, Ye Chuan, are you all right? The ground shook violently. The Shui Yu Demang was injured, and Xia Nanan exclaimed in surprise, Is that orb really that powerful? The Shui Yu Demang's colossal body swayed, its tail slamming hard against the cliff face, causing everything to collapse. The python retreated into the shadows, leaving behind a faint purple energy trail. The danger had temporarily passed. Ye Chuan held out the Shui Yu Demang's blood-red eyes flashed in the darkness, as if wanting to devour everything. A growl echoed, like a death command. Turn back. The Shui Yu Demang let out an earth-shattering roar, its wide mouth gaping open, revealing teeth as sharp as blades. Its blood-red eyes flashed with bloodlust, ready to swallow everything. A figure flickered at its feet, a faint blue light glimmering. Ye Chuan grabbed Xia Nanan's hand, frantically fleeing from the Shui Yu Demang, which was opening its mouth wide to swallow them. Xia Nanan was utterly panicked, desperately screaming, It's over. We're done for. We can't escape. Ye Chuan thought to himself, This girl is truly annoying. Their joy was short-lived. The Shui Yu Demang counterattacked. A devastating strike sent Ye Chuan flying into the air, his body spinning uncontrollably. Xia Nanan was also caught, thrown violently, and fell freely onto the cold ground. The Zuiyue Damang roared in pain, its blood-red eyes spitting fire. Ye Chuan's fatal blow tore through the night, striking it directly, causing the python's entire body to shake violently. A horrifying crack echoed, signaling a mortal wound. Xia Nanan, her face pale with horror, collapsed to the ground. She frantically turned her head, her eyes wide with desperation, screaming a warning, "Yi Chuan!" Mid-air, Xia Nanan hung suspended, her eyes filled with extreme panic. Above her, the ethereal form of the Shuyu Damang coiled, a brilliant red tentacle dangling like a scythe of death. She desperately screamed for help. "Ye Chuan, can you hear me? Get out here now." The Shuyu Damang relentlessly pursued, its colossal mouth with teeth as sharp as a death scythe closing in, ready to crush its prey. Its terrifying speed blurred everything around it, leaving only extreme fear. In that moment of life and death, Ye Chuan's butcher knife suddenly flared with a brilliant red light, tearing through the night. A terrifying slash, carrying destructive power, collided violently. A deafening crack echoed, signaling a desperate counterattack in midair. The giant python writhed, its ethereal body suddenly becoming clear and splitting open. Fresh red blood and chunks of flesh splattered, dyeing the entire space red. It couldn't believe that a seemingly hopeless attack could inflict such a horrifying wound. No sooner had her scream ended than a gigantic shadow lunged forward at terrifying speed. Sharp claws tore through the air, creating a deafening screech, aimed directly at them. Just then, a figure appeared, standing tall before the Shuyu Damang's gigantic, blood-drooling mouth. Ye Chuan, with a strangely calm expression, gripped his butcher knife tightly and asked, "Did you just call me?" Somehow, Ye Chuan had pulled Xia Nanan from the jaws of death. She immediately turned back, embracing Ye Chuan with a relieved and overjoyed expression. "Thank goodness, you're okay." "I don't want anyone to die because of me," Xia Nanan said, her voice still trembling. After the terrifying counterattack, Ye Chuan was still dazed, sweat pouring down. Beside him, Xia Nanan covered her mouth, her face contorted in disgust, exclaiming, "It stinks." "You almost got pooped out by the Shuyu Damang." Ye Chuan and Xia Nanan stared dumbfounded at the blue notification panel that had just appeared. Successfully eliminated a special pig-type creature. Level increased to apprentice rank 8. Received 0.2 free attribute points. An unexpected achievement, but what was defeated wasn't the Shuyu Damang, but a hidden pig monster. But just as the claws were about to strike, a deep, powerful voice rang out, as if commanding the entire space. "We're going back." The desolate forest seemed to plunge into an eerie silence, with only withered skeletal trees remaining. Xia Nanan and Ye Chuan had returned. They stood before a ruined city gate, looking towards the ancient architecture in the distance. A joyful shout broke the silence. "Miss Xia, you're finally back!" The man with the bun, seemingly a family retainer, breathed a sigh of relief. He chided her with a worried expression. "You made me sick with worry. I was just about to lead a search party for you." Xia Nanan smiled brightly, cherishing the crimson blood moon crystal flower. She excitedly showed off her spoils, believing her mother would be very pleased. Mr. Zhao still couldn't help but worry, advising the young lady. "Miss, if you want blood moon crystal flowers, you can send someone to find them. The city outskirts are very dangerous." "What if something happens to you?" Xia Nanan replied, full of determination. "I want to pick them for Mother myself. Besides, with him protecting me, it's fine." Mr. Zhao's gaze turned scrutinizing and suspicious. He looked towards Ye Chuan, asking directly, "And who is this young man?" Ye Chuan was startled and quickly introduced himself. "I am Ye Chuan, a pig butcher." Mr. Zhao pondered, deep in thought. "The Shuiyue Damang appears where blood moon crystal flowers grow. Why would Miss Xia find a fool with such a mundane profession to protect her?" But looking at him, could he really have killed the Shuiyue Damang? Mr. Zhao handed a small golden ring to Ye Chuan, saying with a meaningful tone, "Student Ye, you are truly very promising at this age. This golden ring from the Xia family is worth 200,000. I can give it to you as a reward for helping our young lady," he offered, his eyes still calculating. Ye Chuan unexpectedly refused, his gaze firm.
"No, I only want a butcher knife."
His refusal echoed. Ye Chuan reiterated his request without hesitation. "I only want a butcher knife." Mr. Zhao was surprised and bewildered. "A butcher knife? He doesn't want good things. Only a butcher knife? Is there something wrong with this kid's head?" Xia Nanan stepped forward to explain. "Mr. Zhao, Ye Chuan wants to find the best weaponsmith in Qingcheng to forge a spirit weapon for him. This is what I promised him." Mr. Zhao nodded in understanding, a somewhat helpless expression on his face. "I understand, young lady. Leave this matter to me. Let them escort you home first. The family head is sick with worry. Jia Nanan smiled brightly, waving goodbye to Ye Chuan. Ye Chuan, I'll see you again. She left with the man in the suit. Mr. Zhao turned to Ye Chuan, his words both gentle and subtly threatening. Student Ye, although you saved our young lady, we can agree to any conditions you propose. However, there is one thing. Please do not harbor any improper thoughts about our young lady. Otherwise, things might not end well for anyone. At Mr. Zhao's warning, Ye Chuan only thought to himself, in my eyes, your young lady is nothing but a pig's head. The black-haired young man replied to Mr. Zhao, his tone decisive. No problem. I guarantee I won't get involved with your young lady. I only want a top-tier spirit weapon. Mr. Zhao nodded, turned, and walked away, instructing. Qing Cheng's best blacksmith, Master Tishin, has a good relationship with our Xia family. I will make arrangements when I return. You can go directly to him tomorrow. The sky was clear blue, with streaks of purple light flashing across, signaling a world full of hidden dangers. In the crimson forest, the corpses of giant monsters lay scattered. Bears, wolves, and a silver-horned rhinoceros. Streaks of purple light still lingered. A horned woman appeared, her eyes burning with hatred. Killing my pet, stealing my spirit medicine. This human is truly audacious. She looked down at the corpse of the silver-horned rhinoceros, her delicate feet lightly stepping on the ground. Fresh blood dyeing the grass and trees red. The horned woman's golden eyes pressed Ye Chuan's back, her voice sweet. But since you're so handsome, I'll waive the fee for you. Remember to find an opportunity to thank me later. She continued to intimately rub Ye Chuan's back, her eyes full of allure. By the way, young man, what is your profession? Ye Chuan replied curtly, without hesitation. I'm a pig butcher. The woman froze, her eyes wide with horror, her face changing color. She repeated, her voice stammering in disbelief. A pig butcher? The scene shifted back to the Ye family home. Ye Chuan arrived home, holding a vibrant flower in his hand, and happily called out, Mom, this is for you. Ye Chuan's mother looked at the flower, her eyes wide with astonishment. This is a twin-blood crystal flower? Where did you get it? Ye Chuan's mother's gaze gradually turned sharp, staring at Ye Chuan, her face full of suspicion. Ye Chuan's mother questioned. You stole it, didn't you? Ye Chuan quickly explained. Of course not. I went outside the city, saw two big snakes fighting, and I saw a flower on the ground, so I picked it up. Ye Chuan's mother pinched Ye Chuan's cheek, her tone a mix of anger and affection. This kid, the wilderness outside the city, is so dangerous. If anything happened, how could we pig butchers cope? Ye Chuan's mother sternly warned. Don't ever go there again. Ye Chuan rubbed his cheek obediently. I know, Mom. I won't do it again. Ye Chuan's father stood beside them, laughing heartily, patting Ye Chuan's shoulder proudly. Ha ha ha! That's my son! After his father's praise, an angry roar echoed, tearing through the quiet night, like thunder striking the mansion. Ye Qiuan! Get out here! Ye Qiuan, who had just been joyful, suddenly frowned, wondering in surprise. Who is it? Lu Xing, the red-haired man, appeared aggressively, questioning Ye Qiuan about his son stealing Jinglong's Lufeng saber. Ye Qiuan was stunned to recognize his old acquaintance. Ye Qiuan was flustered, trying to appease Lu Xing, his childhood friend who was now a renowned 6th-level Ascendant Realm expert. Brother Lu, is there some misunderstanding? Ye Qiuan couldn't believe it. His son was just a butcher. How could he steal Lu Xing's son's spirit artifact? Brother Lu, are you sure you're not mistaken? My son is just a butcher. How could he steal your son's spirit artifact? While Ye Chuan was still explaining, Jinglong suddenly pointed directly at Ye Chuan, roaring, Father, it's him! Ye Chuan stood there, his face drained of all color. Lu Xing showed no mercy, scolding Ye Chuan for being foolish and not knowing how to raise his son. He had thoroughly investigated and confirmed with Principal Zhao Ming before coming here. Lu Xing coldly urged, forcing Ye Chuan to confront his own son. Ye Chuan's gaze, full of doubt, shifted to Ye Chuan. Ye Chuan looked at Ye Chuan, his voice deepening, filled with worry and suspicion. Ye Chuan, what exactly is going on? Ye Chuan didn't flinch, directly retorting to Lu Xing. Your son tried to kill me. All things considered, he got off easy. I only took his saber, Jinglong immediately retorted, his face flushed with anger. Nonsense! I didn't want to kill you, I just wanted to spar with you. Lu Xing dismissed the excuse, giving Ye Chuan an ultimatum. Listen, kid, out of respect for your father, I won't pursue this matter if you return the saber. Ye Chuan uttered a single sentence that made the entire space freeze. The saber. It's already sold. Ye Chuan's words were like a thunderclap, leaving Lu Xing and Jinglong speechless. What? Sold? Horror spread. No one could believe their ears. What? Sold? From astonishment it turned to extreme rage. Lu Xing roared, demanding Ye Chuan compensate him with 1 million. This kid! In that case, you'll have to pay for it. 1 million! Ye Chuan tried to object, his voice trembling as he faced the unreasonable demand. 1 million is too much. A low-grade yellow spirit weapon only costs about 200,000. But Lu Xing, with a grim face and bloodshot eyes, had no intention of backing down. He growled, his words sharp as knives. You don't think I'm negotiating with you, do you? Jinglong also interjected, his eyes full of disdain. What did you say? Ye Chuan had to concede, but still tried to buy time. All right, we'll pay you, but 1 million isn't a small sum. We need time to gather it. Lu Xing allowed no delays. He stared at Ye Chuan, his words like thunder. Old friend, teach your son properly from now on, or else I'll teach him a proper lesson myself. He continued to lay down harsh conditions. I'll give you half a month to come up with the money. If you don't have it by then, don't blame me for being ruthless. With heavy threats, Lu Xing and Jinglong turned and left, leaving Ye Chuan standing there with extreme anxiety. Ye Chuan turned back into the house, his mood heavy, wondering, what are we going to do? The brown-haired woman, Ye Chuan's mother, took Ye Chuan's hand, her eyes pleading. Isn't he your best friend from childhood? You should go beg him. Ye Chuan sighed, his voice full of despair. Later, I'll bring some pork to his house to apologize and try again. 1 million. Just then, Ye Chuan appeared, his expression resolute, reassuring his parents. Father, don't worry. I'll take care of it. Ye Chuan looked at his son, his eyes full of love and sorrow. Don't worry. I don't blame you. This was never your fault, he continued to instruct. But I only hope that if you encounter any trouble in the future, you must tell your mother and me. Don't try to bear it alone, Ye Chuan said. Ye Chuan listened, a decision already made in his heart. I need to get a soul weapon as soon as possible and raise my power to the Dangang realm. Then Lu Xing won't be my opponent. The brown-haired woman looked at Ye Chuan, her eyes full of doubt. Chuan, are you hiding something else from us? She continued to ask, her worry evident. That flower is very precious. How could a pig butcher get it? Ye Chuan took a deep breath, knowing it was time to face it. I guess I can't hide it from them forever. He looked at his parents, his voice heavy. Mom, Dad. Actually, I'm not normal. Ye Chuan and the brown-haired woman looked at each other, their faces deeply shocked. Not normal. The brown-haired woman approached Ye Chuan, her eyes bewildered, misunderstanding. Son, do you not like women? Ye Chuan, with a serious, yet somewhat helpless expression, could only nod. Ye Chuan and the brown-haired woman reacted immediately, their eyes full of acceptance and support. Son, your mother is very open-minded. There's nothing wrong with liking men. Go boldly pursue your happiness, the brown-haired woman quickly agreed. That's right, that's right, that's right. Ye Chuan stared blankly at his parents as his mother gently stroked his hair, her voice full of worry. Just stay away from your father. Neither of them understood what was happening. Ye Chuan hastily denied all speculation, his eyes panicked. No, Mom! I don't like women. And I don't like men either. That's not it. I have a psychological condition, so I see all living creatures as pigs. Ye Chuan's explanation stunned his parents. On their faces, pig snouts unexpectedly appeared, showing extreme shock. Ye Chuan exclaimed, They're all pigs? Ye Chuan suddenly grabbed Ye Chuan's shoulders, his eyes blazing as if a terrifying truth had dawned on him. Wait, you're a pig butcher, you have a psychological condition, and you see all creatures as pigs. Doesn't that mean you can butcher any creature as if it were a pig? Ye Chuan, with wide, crazed eyes, affirmed without hesitation. That's right. A stark truth, so simple it was hard to believe. The brown-haired woman turned to Ye Chuan, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Darling, does that mean Chuan can also be considered a combat profession? Ye Chuan nodded decisively. Yes, of course. A decision was made. In the quiet space, Ye Chuan's voice rang out resolutely. Chuan, come with me. It seems I need to teach you some real skills. Under the dim moonlight, the father and son walked on the winding mountain path. Ye Chuan began to reveal a secret. I've been a butcher for many years and have created my own pig-slaughtering knife technique. On the windy hilltop, Ye Chuan looked at his son, his eyes filled with deep concern. Today, I will pass it on to you. In the future, if someone tries to take your life, you will have a way to defend yourself. Ye Chuan looked at his father, his heart heavy with guilt. Dad, I've caused too much trouble and put the family $1 million in debt. Why are you still teaching me? Yekiwan replied, his voice firm. $1 million is a lot, but it's not as important as my son's safety. In Yekiwan's hand, a gleaming butcher knife appeared. He spoke with a terrifying calmness. The greatest truths are the simplest ones, and butchery is no exception. Yekiwan looked directly at Ye Chuan, his gaze as sharp as a knife, and declared decisively, "Watch closely. I will only teach you 3 moves." In the vast expanse of the mountains, Yekiwan spread his arms wide, and streams of blade-shaped purple energy suddenly appeared, hovering in the cloudy night sky. With the butcher knife raised high above his head, Ye Qiyuan concentrated all his strength. His body erupted in a mystical purple glow, his eyes as firm as steel. But suddenly, a dry cough tore through the air. Ye Qian's eyes widened, his face contorted in pain, as if he was enduring an invisible burden. And then, a mysterious surge of power erupted, sweeping Ye Qiwan away, leaving behind dazzling purple streaks and a space filled with astonishment. No sooner had the dry cough ended than a mysterious surge of power erupted, sweeping Ye Qiwan away, leaving behind dazzling purple streaks and a space filled with astonishment. In midair, under the mystical pink moonlight, a gigantic purple rift tore through the night. The rift continued to expand, swallowing space itself, creating a scene both majestic and terrifying. Brilliant purple rays shot out, like invisible blades cutting across the sky. Ye Chuan reappeared, his figure gliding like the wind, leaving behind ghostly purple streaks of light. He was demonstrating an extraordinary skill, far beyond anything Ye Chuan had ever known. Ye Chuan stood on the ground, looking up at his father with wide eyes and an agape mouth. He was completely stunned by this incredible display of power. Ye Qiwan turned back, a satisfied smile on his face. He began to explain the moves he had just performed. The first move is called Luoxing. No sooner had he finished speaking than Ye Qiwan continued. He leaped into the air, creating a turquoise energy vortex beneath his feet, like a whirlwind in the night sky. The second move, he spun in midair, and powerful streams of blue and purple energy erupted, surging like fierce waves, creating a dazzling and potent dance of light. Ye Qiyuan's figure hovered, his sword tip emitting a dazzling blue light, surrounded by countless shimmering purple fragments like shattered stars. He shouted the name of the second move, his voice full of heroic spirit. Yahello! Ye Chuan couldn't believe his eyes. He called out to his father, his voice full of astonishment and doubt. "Dad, how did you do that? That's insane!" Ye Qiwan replied, his voice slightly tired but still majestic. "It's just distorting the surrounding space, deceiving your vision." He knelt on one knee, panting. Despite his exhaustion, Ye Qiwan still wore a mysterious smile. He looked up at Ye Chuan, preparing to reveal the final move. The third move is called. Ye Qiwan's eyes suddenly glowed fiery red, and his entire body erupted in a dazzling red energy, fierce as hellfire. He gathered all his strength and shouted the name of the final move. Swallowing the sun. A brilliant red light exploded, tearing through the night, more dazzling than 10,000 suns, swallowing everything in sight. The red light continued to spread, creating fiery energy trails like a sweeping solar storm, leaving behind a breathtakingly majestic scene. In the brilliant golden light, Ye Chuan looked up and asked his father, his eyes full of doubt, "Dad, is this really for butchering pigs? What kind of pig can it kill? Zubaji?" Ye Qiwan simply replied, "Don't ask so many questions, just learn. Sooner or later, you'll use it." Ye Chuan, though still hesitant, seriously replied, "I will learn well." Ye Chuan nodded, then asked, "Where's your pig butchering knife?" Ye Chuan hesitated. "It broke." Ye Chuan said no more, handing his son a large knife. "Use your father's knife for now." The large, heavy knife fell into Ye Chuan's hand. The boy looked at it in surprise, feeling its incredible weight. Ye Chuan tried to lift the knife, but it was too heavy, making him stumble. He exclaimed, "It's too heavy." Ye Chuan turned his back, leaving Ye Chuan alone with the knife, and called back, "Train well, I'm going to sleep now." Ye Chuan watched his father's retreating figure, thinking to himself, "Has Dad been using such a heavy knife to butcher pigs all this time? Unbelievable." Under the faint moonlight, Ye Chuan began to train. He swung the large knife, shouting out the move. "Falling Star!" The boy tried to perform it, but the knife's weight made him lose his balance, falling to the ground, sending dust flying. In his memory, Ye Qiwan smiled, watching Ye Chuan diligently training, shouting, "Falling Star!" He said, "You foolish boy, one day when you enter the Emperor realm, these 3 moves will be able to slay even heavenly beings." Ye Chuan trained relentlessly, swinging the knife continuously, each strike carrying a powerful surge of energy. tearing through the air. The boy focused all his strength, straining to swing the final strike, creating a brilliant sword aura. Ye Chuan panted heavily, drenched in sweat, his eyes bloodshot from exhaustion but still gleaming with resilience. Exhausted, the boy collapsed to the ground, lying on his back looking at the sky, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The sun gradually appeared, and Ye Chuan still lay there, exhausted but not giving up. As dawn broke, Ye Chuan sat up, his body aching, but his eyes remained fixed on the knife in his hand. In Ye Chuan's mind, his father's image and words still echoed, urging him to continue on the path he had chosen. Ye Chuan gritted his teeth, sweat pouring down, his eyes burning with determination. The knife in his hand swung up, and a roar echoed, "Starfall!" The blade tore through the wind, creating a fierce blue energy surge that ripped through the ground, sending shattered rocks flying. Each strike was a terrifying release of power. Amidst the brilliant dawn, majestic mountains, and soaring birds, the sound of destruction still echoed, a testament to unwavering will. Ye Chuan panted, beads of sweat rolling down his temples. Though exhausted, his eyes still shone with resolve, determined not to abandon the path he had chosen. A faint smile appeared on Ye Chuan's lips, a smile of satisfaction after pushing past his limits, a small victory in an unending battle. Ye Chuan's body collapsed, lying motionless amidst the cracks and shattered rock fragments, evidence of a night of frantic training, pushing his body to its absolute limits. Immediately after, a system notification appeared, confirming his efforts. Your level has increased to Apprentice Rank 9. New skill learned, Starfall. The scene suddenly shifted. Ye Chuan now lay on a hospital bed in a modern room, the steady hum of medical machinery signaling life. He lay motionless, only his black hair visible on the pristine white pillow. His body was exhausted, but his will still burned like a smoldering fire deep within. Ye Chuan's mother appeared, her face filled with extreme worry, asking the doctor, "Doctor, is my son all right?" The calm brown-haired doctor replied, "The boy is fine. He just fainted from exhaustion. He must have trained intensely all night." Hearing this, Ye Chuan's mother gritted her teeth in anger, her eyes sharp and cold. She swore, "How can a father train his son so cruelly? When I get home, I'll teach him a lesson." The bespectacled doctor pushed up her glasses, her voice full of astonishment. Based on the amount of lactic acid in the boy's body, it seems he performed 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 push-ups, and 1,000 squats in just one night. The doctor continued, making Ye Chuan's mother gape. "And ran 100 kilometers too." Ye Chuan's mother couldn't believe it. "Doctor, are you kidding me? Can a normal person do all that in one night?" The doctor smiled faintly, her eyes understanding. "A normal person probably couldn't. But given your son, Ye Chuan's, mental state, I think it's entirely plausible." Ye Chuan's mother erupted in fury, clenching her fists, veins bulging. She roared, "That bastard! I'm going home to beat his father until even his own mother wouldn't recognize him." The mother's rage flared, and she slammed her hand against the hospital room door. But only a mysterious blue light responded. There was no sign of Ye Chuan. The young doctor looked at the empty doorway, her eyes a mix of surprise and admiration. She murmured, "I didn't expect him to have such endurance. A normal person would surely be dead by now." A mysterious smile bloomed on her lips, accompanied by a bold thought. "It seems I'll have to give him private lessons tonight." The entire hospital room was empty. Only the cold bed remained. The doctor looked bewildered, exclaiming, "Huh? Where did he go?" Ye Chuan had left the hospital, walking down a deserted road. He realized the move he just used consumed an incredible amount of stamina, deciding to only use it when truly necessary. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Ye Chuan remembered. "Oh right, today I can go to Master T Shin's place to get a knife." The first snowflakes of the season gently fell, dusting the ancient rooftops. Ye Chuan walked through the ethereal scene, heading towards a special place. He stopped before an ancient forge, named T Shin's Forge. The symbols of a hammer and anvil stood proudly on the roof, signaling a place holding the secrets of blacksmithing. Inside, Master Tai Shin, with his half-man, half-boar appearance, was diligently forging. The flames blazed brightly, illuminating his fierce yet experienced face. T Shin looked up, his sharp gaze sweeping over Ye Chuan. "You are Ye Chuan?" he asked. Ye Chuan replied without hesitation, "That's me." Tai Shin nodded, his voice deep and warm. "Old man Zhao has told me everything. I stayed up all night forging the blade you wanted." But then, he narrowed his eyes, looking at Ye Chuan with scrutiny. "I heard you're just a pig butcher?" Tai Shin opened the box, revealing the sharp blade, then teased, "I can't believe the Xia family spent a fortune for me to urgently forge a blade for a butcher. Are you their illegitimate child?" Ye Chuan reached out, his eyes fixed on the blade. He was eager to touch the sword that had just been forged through fire and iron. Just as Ye Chuan was about to touch it, Taishin stopped him, his voice admonishing, "Don't be so impatient, kid." Taishin's eyes glowed red like fire. He proudly explained, "This blade is forged from 1,000-year cold iron, a rare material that only appears after 49 days of tempering. Its quality is supreme imperial grade." Taishin continued to explain, his deep voice echoing, "A blade also has a soul. It will choose its master. If your cultivation level isn't high enough, let alone using it, you might not even be able to lift it." Despite the warning, Ye Chuan still reached out. His palm gripped the hilt tightly, a strangely familiar sensation. An incredible surge of power flowed into his body. Ye Chuan's eyes widened in extreme astonishment. He had been ready for a mental battle with its weight, but the blade felt feather-light in his hand, as if it were born to belong to him. Ye Chuan stared at Taishin in disbelief, while Taishin was stunned, speechless. Ye Chuan exclaimed, his tone full of surprise, "It's much lighter than my father's." He couldn't believe the sensation. Taishin's jaw dropped, sweat pouring down. He couldn't believe his eyes. It just works like that? Ye Chuan admired the blade, his eyes shining brightly. He turned to Taishin, asking curiously, "What is this blade called?" Taishin took a sip of wine, his voice a little hesitant. It doesn't have a name yet. It belongs to you, so you must be the one to name it." He thought to himself, "The Xia family truly is astonishingly wealthy." Ye Chuan smiled. "All right, I've decided to name this blade," Ye Chuan declared loudly. "Zhan Long." Taishin, who was drinking water, spat it out, his face horrified. Taishin yelled, his face annoyed, "That name is so cliché." Ye Chuan stood on the city wall, looking towards the horizon. He whispered, "Now that I have a blade, I should go out and hunt monsters to earn some money." He walked away, the new blade tucked at his hip. Ye Chuan thought to himself, "Most importantly, if I can advance to the first-tier entry realm, I'll have a chance to deal with Lu Xing." Ye Chuan walked through the square, hearing two men chatting. One complained, "Damn it, I don't know what's going on lately, but ferocious monsters and beasts are appearing everywhere, attacking people like crazy. It's really strange." The other man nodded frantically, his face terrified. "Exactly. I passed an armored earth ox, which is usually harmless, but today it chased me for 10 miles. It was horrifying." Hearing those words, Ye Chuan smirked. His eyes glowed with an eerie purple light. "Excellent. Now there are plenty of things to kill," he thought to himself, a cruel intention forming.